We'll do it again. You know, I always mute myself so that you don't hear any shenanigans right before I go live, and then I always forget to unmute myself. Welcome to Thursday at 3. I am your guest host today for Laura Whitlow. I'm Dianne Pruitt. We are live here at Two Girls Treasure in Florence, South Carolina. Please let me know if you can hear me now. I can see the little volume bobbing back and forth, so I think we have some sound. I see something flying in the wind behind me. Oh, well, no wonder. Isn't that silly? Let me turn this. No? Yeah, it is. It's that. Sound is on. Yay. Let me get this tag out of the wind. So if you need any live equipment so you can do a live tutorial, Frameworks. It's good stuff, y'all. It's not near as good as the new fall recipes from Laura Whitlow. As soon as she announced the fall color recipes, well, we started cooking here at Two Girls Treasure, and we created all 12 of those recipes. What are your favorites? I know we have a hard time choosing which one we want to use because I can see so many of the different colors on this furniture, and I can't wait to use all 12 of them. I haven't been able to yet, but boy, we're going to get to getting after it. What's your favorite recipe of the 12? Well, last week I used the eggplant. Yes, it was absolutely gorgeous. And not only did we use eggplant on the body of an entry table, we also used the midnight shadow on the top, and it turned out fantastic. Yes, Mary Kay, it's so hard to choose, but I'm a blues girl at heart. You see my grays, you see my blues. I'm a blues girl at heart. So when Laura announced that she took peacock feather and farmhouse navy in equal parts and created Fall River, I was sold on it. And here at Two Girls Treasure, we have an absolutely beautiful old drop leaf desk entry table, and it deserves a new life. Eggplant, Becky, yes, that's what we used last week, and I swear it is so amazing on a piece of furniture. We used a little bit of dark glaze on the architecture, and it's yummy. It is absolutely yummy, and it's the perfect fall eggplant color. Today, though, we're going to use, you love the Fall River too, Miss Betty? That's what we're going with today. Let me click over, and I want to show you this table. And I hope you love it as much as we do. We may want to turn that down on low while we're here. Please remember, if you've never been here before, that Two Girls Treasure is a fully functional brick and mortar store in Florence, South Carolina, and if you hear that doorbell, that means somebody is coming to find out about these fabulous paint colors or some fantastic furniture piece that they can redo in one of these colors. This is the center drawer, and it's so simple. It has beautiful lines. It has the cutest little hardware. We're fixing to take that off of there. But I want you to look at the top of this piece of furniture because it's so sad. Now, this is really old, y'all. This is 1920s, I would say 1930s at the latest. This is such a cutie little abused piece, and we're going to bring it back to life. And what do we always start with? The prep. You always want to make sure you start your projects with the prep. This is the most important step in the success of any of your paint projects with Rethunk Junk. You don't want to go without this. Make sure you get your 8-ounce bottle and make sure you get your refill. Hold on to the pump and then get your refill so you can do lots of projects. You're always going to need this in your life. I'm gonna take my little blade. Laura, I love you dearly, and if it's so worth a day trip, I expect to see you soon. Millen, Georgia is literally right down the road. So there was like dried glue on here. I'm just gonna take my razor blade, and what I can pop off, I'm gonna go ahead and pop off. It's really dry. The flakes are gone away. You know how you get a piece of furniture like this and the old finish has flaked? This is so dry the flakes are gone. So I'm gonna knock that glue off of there, any of the ugliness. Y'all, we're gonna make this piece of furniture amazing again. I've got my screwdriver so I can take my hardware off. I also have my 2-inch Wooster shortcut, can't live without this. And because I have a drop leaf, I have my Miracle brush. This is a fabulous tapered end brush, and it helps me especially when I want to get in areas like a drop leaf joint where I don't want paint drips, and my flat brush will just flatten out the paint. So these two tools are essential. Prep, paint brushes, and paint. Now, if you're not familiar with how this color was created, let me show you. Take 16 ounces of Rethunk Junk Peacock Feather. Take 16 ounces of Rethunk Junk Farmhouse Navy. Get your 32-ounce mason jar out. After you get your mason jar and before you pour your colors in, you're going to want your Measure X mixing cup. All of your Rethunk Junk retailers carry these. You have your measurements on the side. If you don't need 32 ounces, you can measure out what you need. I fill it to the top because I know, as beautiful as Fall River is, I need every drop of this paint in my life. Pour into here, stir it really well. Once it's mixed, pour it into your capped container so you can keep hold of it until you run it dry. Don't you waste a drop of this. And now we'll start, as I always say, we're gonna get to getting. So let's do this. Get your prep spray out. My fabulous continuous mister was eaten by our ghost George. If you've ever been into a vintage store, there are ghosts that live among us. We call ours George. He's very affectionate, but he has been mischievous lately, and he hijacked my continuous mister. So it's okay. I have a beautiful mister from Rethunk Junk, and that's what we're gonna spray on top. Now, I have a lot of people who ask me all the time, how much prep do I use? Do you see how much I put on here? Don't hold back. Don't dump it on here, but don't hold back. This old furniture deserves a beautiful new life, but to get it there, you're probably gonna want to prep it twice. As I prep it the first time, you might see some of the imperfections in the top. I like those. Old furniture, especially 100-year-old furniture, has a lot of flaws. If I was 100 and I'm getting there kind of quick, I'm gonna have some cracks and chips too. Please don't plaster me with more makeup. Please just clean me up and let me live. So I'm going to prep this a second time. The first time I used my Scotch Brite Scrubby. I love these because they take the first layer of ook, and that's a technical term. They take the first layer of ook off your furniture. The second time I prep, I'm gonna use one of my old cleaning cloths, and this is a cutie little one with bunnies, but let me show you what happens to my cutie little bunnies. when I prep a 100-year-old table. It's looking really good on top, isn't it? There's a reason for that. This prep product does a job like nothing else. You have to get that first layer, even maybe that second layer of dirt and oil and wax-based furniture polish off this surface. It doesn't take all day to accomplish this. You don't have to prep it until this cloth comes clean, because I promise you, as old as this furniture is, it's never going to come completely clean. Prep it, scrubby it if you need to, prep it again, and wipe it off. If you want to do it a third time just for good measure, it's okay. Nobody's going to judge you for doing that. You just raise your standards up to a third application of prep if you feel like you need it. It's your piece of furniture. It's your wonderful project. And if you need more prep, you use it. I don't know if you can see, my prep bottle is down to here. That's not a whole lot. And I've been using this for about a month now. And I do a lot of paint work. So we're gonna clean a little bit more of that surface dirt right off the top of this. The other thing that I want you to really be aware of is the type of wood product that you're using for your project. Now this one, y'all can see, is red wood. And if you've never worked with red wood before, red wood is the devil. Red wood will bleed through just about any color you put on the surface. If you run into a bleeding issue when you're doing your redwood project, whether it's cherry or mahogany, stop, utilize your tough top or your flat top, seal the surface, and let it dry well, then go again. We're gonna start with our Fall River. I don't think we're gonna run into a problem. If we do, Mel will grab us some tough top. Charlotte's here to support too. They're both shaking their heads. They don't think we're gonna have a problem. So we're gonna bet that they're right. Pop that top off the mason jar. There we go. Oh, look at that goodness right there. I love that we had enough mason jars to mix and display all 12 of these colors, because this time of the year, nothing's better than a mason jar to mix into and put your colors up and use them all winter long. Ready? Are you ready, set? Here's Fall River, y'all. Isn't that beautiful? I sing like Laura Whitlow too. No, I really don't, but I can say words like that like her, so you almost don't even know that it's not her on here. This is Laura Whitlow's Thursday at 3, and I'll tell y'all, I've learned so much from watching Laura all these years, and I'm ever thankful for what she has taught me to do with Rethunk Junk paint products. And I love to share it with y'all. When you get ready to put your paint on, do not overwork your paint. Put it on, brush it end to end. I like to even move myself to make sure I keep those brush strokes straight and even. Your first coat doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure you get that paint on that surface in straight lines and let it do its job. The job this paint will do is phenomenal. It will level out, and any of those brush strokes will disappear as long as you do not overwork the paint. You also don't want to pull it dry. So as this is drying, don't touch it again. I'm going to turn the fan on so this dries quickly. Don't touch it again. If you see an imperfection in your surface as you're going, leave it alone and let it be. Because if you touch it while it's drying, you're going to create a mess right there. I can show you how to fix that, but let's not do that today. Let's just leave it alone. Let the paint do the job that it was designed to do. Formulated to be simple and beautiful. Now I'm going to, oh, I love it. What a big difference. And look, no bleed through, none. So let me turn the table without getting my clothes in the paint. And let's put this leaf up. Look at the difference. Look how amazing this is gonna be. I'm going to pop this back down for just a quick second because I want to show you something. Where this hinged inset is, this is really hard to do first. Do this last, because if you put your paint on it and then you pick your leaf up, you're going to ruin your paint surface. Let's do the entire top first, and then we'll go back and we'll touch that up. I'm going to step in and turn the fan so it's on this end and it's not blowing my prep all over my fresh paint. And we might even distress this a little bit, and I'll teach you a trick I love about wet distressing. Who loves to distress besides Laura? Mel has her hand in the air and she is jumping up and down. Mel loves distressed furniture. Who else besides Mel and Laura Whitlow love to distress their furniture? I'm usually not the one, but today I want to teach you a trick that'll make your distressing so much easier. And it might even be something you hadn't considered. It's so simple. And I love simple. I love quick and easy. And I love fabulously beautiful furniture when it's refinished with Rethunk Junk. Look at what we have. And just like this, watch what we can have next. I'm going to leave the imperfections because I'm going to distress this. So any of the chips in the veneer, they're going to live on this table until somebody else chooses to refinish it and relove it a different way. But because I'm going to distress this table, I just don't see the need to cover up those imperfections. Because isn't that the whole point of distressing something? I think so. Always watch your ridges and your edges when you're painting, because your paintbrush will hit the edges and the edge will literally pull the paint out of your paintbrush, and then you'll have drips and runs. So always check your edges and your ridges and make sure you don't have paint somewhere you don't want it. And you can throw a fan straight over the top of anything you're painting in Rethunk Junk and it'll dry it really quick. It dries quickly anyway, but you throw that fan on and you can make short order. That way you can move on to another project and another project and another project. So while this end is drying and the middle is painted and drying, I'm gonna turn this table one more time. Y'all didn't know you were coming on here today for me to turn the tables on you, did you? Watch this. Pop goes the weasel. All right, let's see, I'll put that back in the camera. This side's not nearly as damaged as the other. So I will turn the fan that way. We're going to spray the prep on this end of the drop leaf. I want this centerpiece to dry quickly so I can show you my distressing trick. because it's made my life easier. I want it to make your life easier too. Mel, when you're distressing, what do you do? Okay, so like you do the crackle kind of distressed effect.
I've done crackle, yeah. I've used glue and water.
Okay, glue and water.
And layers of paint to create a crackle effect.
Charlotte, have you created any distressing as you've been painting? Now Charlotte's new to painting, but Charlotte dove right into some Rethunk Junk paint. Now she's creating a side hustle out of it.
I'm going to wing it.
You're gonna wing it,
I'm
okay.
going to wing it.
You're gonna learn today, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm watching.
All right. Now let's get this end painted so we can match the color. I love this color. I can see some glazing on this also. I just don't think I can stop with just the color. Get it on there, brush it smooth, leave it alone, let it live. I'm gonna do the center section one more time as soon as it's dry, just to fill in some of those blank spots that I have. And leave that alone. Now, if you brush back in, I don't know if you can see real well, it's not going to because of the glare, but if you brush straight across, all your paint goes with your brush, start to finish, right? If you do just like I just did and you pull it back in, then you've created a ridge line of paint and you're not gonna have a smooth surface. So right quick, I'm gonna go ahead and pull that all the way out so I have straight lines. Hit that edge. We're almost dry in the middle. Sometimes we get customers who are in shock at how quickly it dries, but it dries well. Is there a strategy to cleaning and painting a section at a time rather than cleaning the whole piece at once? Tammy, yes. The strategy is to be really careful not to get the prep on the other sections. I'm really just kidding. I meant to do the whole thing at once, but I didn't pop those ends up because I'm kind of in a small area in the studio today. But just the way I had this center section already done and paint on it, and I didn't want to wreck this by cleaning this, I turned the fan so it wasn't blowing the prep, and I sprayed the prep away from my center section. So if you already have an area that you've painted and you want to prep something that adjoins it, you can put a cloth over the top of it if it's dry. You can turn the fan away from where you need to prep. You can spray the prep in the opposite direction so it doesn't affect what you've already laid down. But I find that as long as you do not spray prep on your already painted surface and then wipe it, it'll be okay. If you get a little bit on here, it'll be just fine. Leave it alone, don't rub it, and it won't do any damage. Once the prep dries, it will just simply dissipate. My friend Howard just showed up. Everybody say hi to Howard. It's so good to see you. We're watching paint dry, and I'm glad you came by today. This is one of Howard's favorite new colors as well, and I can see some of this color on his patio area. He has the most gorgeous, lush patio, and going into the fall season, Fall River is what he's gonna want on some of his outdoor furniture. So we'll get him set up with some of the peacock feather blue and the farmhouse navy. They are equal parts, so just simply mix however much you need into your Measure X Rethunk Junk measuring cup and utilize that to do your next project. There are 12 recipes for fall. You can't go wrong because no matter what your decor choice or style is, there is a color just for you. So we're gonna let this dry a little bit more. There's a little bit of wet right here. I don't want to be the one to show you what's going to happen if I do this, but my temptation is to show you. Because if you do this wrong, you can fix it. Let me show you how. My paintbrush is still wet. Most of my paint is dry. I have 3 wet streaks right here. What happens if you paint over that while it's still wet? Well, I'm glad you asked. Sometimes absolutely nothing. Sometimes if you paint over a section that's still wet, it will peel it back and you'll be right back to your wood surface, and you'll have to let that dry. You'll have to take your prep and your scrubby and smooth it back down and add paint in to build it back up to the surface that you've created by adding the material when you paint. The best way to avoid that problem, just don't paint over it while it's wet. Since I hit those 2 high spots, I'm gonna go ahead. I have my water mister. George didn't take that from me. So I'm gonna mist the top so it moves nice and smoothly. And I don't really need a lot of coverage since I already put the first coat on. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna coat that with just a little bit more Fall River, so we have a beautiful finished surface to distress. I love this yummy color. There we go. One side to the other. Sometimes I find that to keep myself and my movement straight, I will only go in one direction at a time. There we go. But other times, back and forth works just fine. Don't overwork the paint. That's one of the worst things you can do. Put it on, let it dry. It won't take long, I promise. While we're letting this dry, I'm going to pop the drawer over here. I don't want to put it up on top because I'll mess up my wet paint. But I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm going to take this hardware off. I will also pop back over here. There we are. Hey! Just a simple screwdriver. This is not going to work. I need my flat screwdriver because these are really old. And if you'll look, they're really dirty too. I think Charlotte has exactly what I need. She was on the job. Just take that hardware off and we're going to prep it too. Did you know you can prep this hardware and reuse it? This old hardware is irreplaceable, y'all. I have so many people so much of the time who are looking for a replacement hardware for their old furniture. And that's tough to do because on some of these old pieces, you're not going to find modern hardware that's exactly the same size. You can fill the holes and put different, drill new holes. I like especially to clean the old hardware with prep and take my metallics, my Rethunk Junk metallics, and refresh the handles or the pulls or the knobs to coordinate with the color that I paint the furniture. So I will take this other screw out of here right fast without tearing the world down. And Charlotte's gonna leave us. Charlotte's just gonna get ready and leave for the day. But it's okay, Charlotte, we'll see you tomorrow, baby. A lot of times what you'll see on this old furniture when you take a pull off is you're gonna see how long this pull has been on there. There's a ridge right there from the dirt. You gotta prep that and get that dirt off there. And when you do, look at the difference in color from what it is from use and what it was when they put that hardware on there. With some prep and a scrubby pad, you can smooth most of that down, get most of that ridge of dirt out of there, and you won't have to worry so much about there being a ridge where the old hardware used to be. So if you change it, it won't be noticeable. And I always put the screws back into the handle so I don't lose them, because we have a lot going on here in the studio, usually at least 3, if not 5 or 10 different projects at a time. So if you put the hardware back with your handle, you're not gonna lose it so quickly. You might lose it eventually, but not quickly. Look at that beautiful piece of history. Beautiful architectural handles, and it's just so dirty, right? Watch what happens when I prep this and scrub it with our green scrubby pad. So I'm gonna spray this away from my drying paint, because as soon as it is dry, we are going to distress it. I can't wait to show you this trick. But I'm just gonna take my green scrubby pad, and after I prep my hardware, I'm gonna take the scrubby and I'm gonna clean it. Because you've gotta remember, this hardware has had everybody in the family's hands on it. 100 years worth of opening and closing this center drawer. So it's had a workout, and it needs a little bit of love. Sometimes you may want to spray it and let it sit. Prep does such a phenomenal job on so many different levels. So don't just get your spray bottle and think you have enough prep for your life. Get your spray bottle and get your refill. Those are available at every Rethunk Junk retailer. Look how beautiful that hardware is coming. And I think that's gonna look outstanding in its natural form with this fall river. So just another quick spritz. And I mean, I'm soaking it down while Charlotte's counting money. Pay no attention to the girl in the green t-shirt behind the wall. Welcome to Oz. All right, scrub a little bit more, and presto magico. I have even taken my handles and poured prep into a bowl and just soaked my hardware overnight. It's not gonna hurt a thing, and it really helps lift the years and years of dirt and grime from the surface, because you can't do everything all at one time. And sometimes the handles, this is your finish, this is your accent to your beautiful color. So you want to make sure it is as beautiful as you can make it and as fabulous as your paint color. All right, so I'm going to set that down. I'm going to grab a completely different rag. I'm going to spray it one more time, and I keep going in and out of frame because this table is really long with the wings out, and my work table's right in front of it. So we're going to spray it again. We're going to set that prep out of the way, and I'm going to wipe this dry and buff it clean. Wait till you see this handle. Mel, it's beautiful. It doesn't quite look the way it used to when it was brand new, but it is some kind of pretty. Let's see what that looks like. Can you get the image from that? Isn't that lovely? I didn't take the other one out, but let me set my resources down and I'll pick the drawer up. Here's your side by side. No prep, prep. Isn't that, let me go to the side. Isn't that such a huge difference? Don't do your projects unless you have prep. And don't throw this old hardware away. Just clean it up and reuse it. because it's amazing. Now, who has distressed furniture by sanding it? Who has distressed furniture by wet sanding it? Who has distressed furniture with a wet cloth? Who has distressed furniture by using prep? You didn't know that? I didn't teach you that? Okay, y'all, seriously, I want to show you this. So let me click back over to your overhead view, and we'll take this edge right here so you can see it. Take your cloth, take a nice soft cloth, and spray it well. I'm going to do it right here. You want a nice little section that's fairly well saturated. This is just like wet distressing, but with prep. And here's why. If you let that paint dry really well for a really little bit of time, it's hard to get it back off, y'all. It's not coming off the way I want it to. Even with the prep, Rethunk Junk paint is going to be so superbly durable that even with the prep, it's not going to come off well. It's going to come off. Let me bring you in just a little bit more. I'll zoom right there, and I'll pull the table back. You can almost see the line where I started with my rag, and you can see right along in there where I prepped. And there's just a little bit of distressing. I don't like sanding because it's just more trouble and mess than I have time for. And I have found that if I do not distress something immediately after painting it with Rethunk Junk, it's not going to come off really well. So to make the job quicker and easier, I just hit it with my prep rag, and I take some of it back off. There we go. There's that distressing that we all know and love. And since I have some harsh areas where the table had some damage, it'll be a little bit easier for me to do my distressing. I'm going to distress this little area right here on the top. It's still a little wet, so I may want to leave it alone. But since I can't leave well enough alone, I'm going to actually spray that area with prep. Can you see? Right here. Let me get you back in view. I sprayed that with prep because this is an area that was damaged. So naturally, this is going to be an area of distress. So I'm going to go in here where I sprayed it with my prep, and I'm going to try to take some of that paint back off. And why would you paint something just to take the paint back off? To make it look cool. That's all. To make it look super, super cool. All right, just about done. Look, that was not easy to take off. But if I let this dry, you won't see the difference in the coloration there, and it will be just fine. So I'm going to take this edge. This has one of those finger pincher springy thingies. No dust, right? Oh, Melissa, you love that? I think it's one of the coolest things ever. No dust, no muss, no fuss. It's prep. It's made to take old paint off. It also takes new paint off, right? So I'm going to spray my rag one more time. Nice and saturated, just like that. This is why you want to make sure you have the replacement bottle of prep and keep your spray bottle at all times. We're going to distress this edge because we all know every time you put that tabletop back up, it gets a little bit of ding in it, and it is nicely aged like that. And I really can't wait to put some glaze on this color. I think it's gonna look fantastic. But now we have some distressing along that seam edge. Not a lot, just some. We can do more if we want to. Just take that rag and rub a little bit more. Sometimes I find when I use a little bit of a circular motion on the edge, I get a little bit quicker result. There we go, just like that. Presto, magico, distressing. Just grab your prep. You've distressed with prep? It is, Kathy, it's wonderful, isn't it? Makes it a game changer. Now, we talked about this inside edge right here, and it is unfinished. So let's get it done. Let me show you how, because this is actually a challenge for me personally. It's one of the parts of a table that I really struggle with getting right, because I'm impatient and I don't let it dry before I put it back together. So I'm going to do it right this time, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And it's not that your way is wrong and mine's right. It's that this is the way I have learned how to do this particular part. And drop leaf tables and tables with leaves in them, period, can be so challenging. And I want it to be easier for you so that it's a lot more fun. I love to paint, and I think it should be a blast. So I want it to be fun for you too. I'm gonna reach right across in front of you, please forgive me, and I'm gonna grab my Fall River. Look how little we used, and we did the whole top of this. I'm gonna take my Miracle brush, and I'm gonna take my Fall River. I do not want it drippy. If it's drippy, that's what I'm gonna have in that little crevice. And I'll be honest, at this point in the furniture, I would rather do more than one coat and not have drips and runs in here. So I'm just gonna take my Miracle brush. Let me make sure you can see the whole thing. This way? Nope. This way. That's right. I always forget it's opposite. So take your Miracle brush and ever so gently fill in that crevice. Watch your ridges and edges, because you've already distressed this drop leaf and you don't want to paint back over it. All you have to do is take your damp prep rag and wipe back across that line, okay? You're going to have some paint to seep down into the crevice where the tabletop comes up. Just flex it a little bit and make sure it doesn't stick, okay? And then let it dry. Don't touch it. Do you see how clean a line that Miracle brush put in there? It's not perfect. I didn't get this top edge. I can go right back over it. But again, I've already distressed this top, so I want to make sure I take my prep rag and I wipe right back over the section that I've already distressed so that I haven't painted back over it again. And then let it dry. It's so easy. Yes, Kathy, it is. Yep. Distressing with prep. It is just another fabulous way you can use Rethunk Junk paint products and get a superior finish with your projects. Now, it is 3:51 p.m. and for real, this hasn't taken long, has it? I think I've stood in your way more than it has taken time to do this project. All right, right here. Let's do this other end. And we'll prep it just to make sure we have the oils off of it and the dirt and the wax. We'll grab our Miracle brush, and I'm gonna reach right back across in front of you, and I'm gonna grab my Fall River off my work table. Not dripping wet, but just enough. It's okay if you do 2 coats right here so that you don't have too much in that drop leaf section, so that you don't have to chase paint too much of the time. Take your prep rag where you've already distressed the edge. Just wipe any of the fresh paint off. Same thing down here. Take your prep rag and wipe that edge so that you don't have any fresh paint over the surface where you just wet distressed with your prep. Boom! That was easy, y'all. Did you love it? Do you love the color? Do you love all the fabulous things you can do with Rethunk Junk paint products? Dreaming of, oh, distressing, yep, Nancy, it is fantastic, isn't it? Well, I can't wait to do this project from the top to the bottom. I'm gonna finish cleaning the hardware with prep, and I am going to do the drawer surface. I may even use some Rethunk Gunk and decoupage something fabulously fall into the drawer, and then I'm gonna do the trestle base. So I will update you with photographs as this project is finished. Thank you. I love the color too, Nancy. The Fall River is one of the fabulous 12 fall color recipes that Laura Whitlow conjured up for us this season. Make sure you talk to your local retailer. If you don't have one, then go directly to rethunkjunkbylaura.com. You'll find the color recipes there. You'll find the color recipes on your local retailer's social media, and hopefully in their brick and mortars if they have one, in their booth space. Wherever you find your Rethunk Junk paint products, you'll find these recipes. And the coolest thing about these recipes is their simplicity. Equal parts of 2 colors of paint to make one fantastic fall decor color. Thank you so much for being here with me today while I substituted for Laura Whitlow on Thursday at 3. My name is Dianne Pruitt, and I am the proprietor of Two Girls Treasure in Florence, South Carolina, and an authorized Rethunk Junk retailer, and a freak about all 45 colors and 12 color recipes. Y'all go grab a paintbrush and create something amazing, and we will look forward to seeing you again soon. Stop by if you're in the Florence area and say hello. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks so much.